Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to be running a little test. So that amp I got a few months back, the Warhead Mini, we're going to be running it through a tube power amp to see if that makes any drastic kind of difference. I personally think it will, but anyways, we're using the Synergy Syn 5050, which is a 100 watt tube power amp, but that 100 watts is split between two channels, so you've got 50 on one and 50 on the other. Today we're just going to be using channel A because it's just one cab we're using. The Syn 5050 has 4 606 GC tubes, and it's been used by artists like Steve Vai, Tosin Abasi. The way I'm running it is I'm just taking the send of the effects loop and running it out to the power amp. So that's the only cable that's going to be plugged into the Warhead. And basically, you're just bypassing the power section of the Warhead Mini, but you can do that because it is a solid state amp. Now, if this were a tube amp, you couldn't do that because the tubes need somewhere to output that power. And I'll just give a brief explanation of an effects loop for those of you who don't understand. So basically the send of the effects loop sends the preamp out to wherever you want it. So in this case we're plugging it into the power amp, and then the power amp is going into the cab. But your return will send stuff into the power amp of your amp, in this case the Warhead Mini. So if you had like a tube preamp that you wanted to use with the power amp of the Warhead Mini, that's what you would plug it into. And then you can also just run effects in there like choruses, delays. A lot of people like to use those there. So real quick before we start, if you haven't watched my video on the Warhead Mini, I'll link it in a card right up there. So the song I'm doing is Ant Pile by Kublai Khan, and I'm using the Neumann TLM 102 and the Shure SM57, and then a Mesa 412. Let's get into it. So after hearing this test, I think my personal preference is the solid state power amp the amp came with, just because it's got a grittier, kind of more fitting sound for this, I guess. Not to say that the two power amps sounded bad, it was just a much, I guess, smoother tone. That's really the only way I can describe it. But I think that about wraps it up for today, guys. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and if you have any video ideas or just comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Go check out my shop, pagangaring.com. It's in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.